Hello, everybody. It's Tim here again, finally with another Children of the Corn review. This time with Children of the Corn 666 Isaac's Return. So it's Children of the Corn number 666. I guess I missed the other couple hundred. But anyway, as far as this one goes, first off the bat, that's a very silly, stupid ass title. That just screams, I'm a horror movie. Watch me, I'm so scary. That's so piss poor of a title. The movie itself, we got John Franklin coming back. I was cool with that. I used to think this movie was like kind of okay back in the day. Watching it now, after all these years, now that I'm older and a little bit more wise, watching it now, this film sucks. 1 out of 4, which I grade every movie from 1 to 4. This is easy 0. This movie sucked. The big one. I mean, seriously, people. It tries to be like a direct sequel to Children of the Corn 1, so it pretty much like ignores every film after the first one. So I'm cool with that. You know, that's kind of okay. The last couple of Children of the Corn films don't even connect with each other. So you want to do a straight sequel to the first one? That's really cool. What I had hoped is that even though John Franklin's older, that the film would have just picked up immediately after the ending of the first one. Just have a whole new story and pick up right after the ending of the first one. Just have Isaac and have him like with makeup on and shit. Because if you've seen the first one, at the end of it, his face is all like messed up and distorted and everything, where he's like possessed by he who walks behind the rose and all that, and just have him like possessed by he who walks behind the rose and like going on a rampage or something like that with the corn children to like the next town or some shit or something. I don't know. Just do that. Do a direct sequel to like the first or something. You know, pick up right after. Hell, why not? I would have been cool with that. And you could have hid like how old John Franklin is by putting the makeup and stuff on him and making him look like messed up and demonized and everything because he's possessed. That would have been awesome in my book. But no, we get like a 30, 40 year later sequel thing or something like that. Where like this chick named Hannah, who's kind of hot, is like going back to hometown of Gatlin. She was adopted, and she wants to find her birth mother, played by, I forgot the actress's name, but it's the woman that played Officer Lewis in RoboCop. If you've seen the RoboCop movies, the old ones, then you know Officer Lewis or whatever is like RoboCop's partner. But she's good. She's fine in the movie. All the acting in this movie is fine, really fine. There's no really horrible, shitty, or bad performances. The big problem with this movie, first and foremost, is the story. This really feels like somebody drew just like an outline of a story, slapped it on some script paper, and said, "This is it. Make this movie." Like they didn't even read through it or something. I don't know. It just feels like a big mismatch of shit. It's not. It doesn't feel like a complete story. First of all, let me introduce you to problem A. This woman wants to go to town to meet her birth mother. Okay. Her birth mother is actually the pregnant girl from Children of the Corn 1 who ended up getting knocked out at the end of the film with the door or whatever by Vicky, I think so it was. Linda Hamilton's character knocked her out at the end of the movie with a door. And this is her child. And so now she's against the cult after all these years. She's turned against them. So that's kind of interesting. They don't really delve into that, why she turned against them. But, whatever. That's at least an okay idea. But problem one with this, first off, is this chick's come to town. She wants to know who her mother is. And there's this Gatlin, there's hardly anybody in it now. It's just like a few people. And her mother is one of the people that's still there, and she wants to scare her daughter off, so she keeps fucking with her to get her to leave. My big problem with this film, right off the bat, is all she has to do, all this woman has to do to get her child to leave, is simply drive up to her, get out the vehicle, and say, "I'm your mom. I sent you out of here because I didn't want Isaac to use you to his gain, to birth the Antichrist or whatever the fuck, and because he wants you to screw his son so he can have a new child cult leader to lead the new generation of children or whatever, basically like an Antichrist story." So why don't she just tell her that? Then they can just both get in the car and just leave. Because now there's no he who walks behind the rose force stopping them from leaving. There's vehicles all in the town, and anybody in the town can leave anytime they want, including them, and they can drive out of here any damn time. There's no one stopping them because there's hardly anyone in the town left, and they just don't leave. What? That makes no fucking sense. Then you got Isaac's son, who's in love with this other girl and doesn't want to sleep with this chick named Hannah or whatever, and so he's afraid to tell Isaac that, and he's like, "What do I do? How do I escape this? What the hell do I do?" And it's like, get you a woman that you're in love with, get in your car and just leave the fucking town. I'm like, what? Really? I mean, honestly, it's so easy. This movie could have been over in like 10 fucking minutes. It makes no sense. And so, like, she touches Isaac, who's been in a coma since the first movie. Now, we didn't see him die, really. But after He Who Walks Behind the Rose left his body, though, in the first movie, he should have died, honestly. Now, it would have made more sense if He Who Walks Behind the Rose was, like, inside his body this whole time while he was in a coma. And when he woke up, he was still possessed. I would have liked that. And I think this movie would have worked better if it was, like, Isaac's son or daughter coming into town and not some other person's kid. That way it would have made sense to why they're staying around town. Maybe, they want to learn more about their father Isaac, or maybe even win his approval, and then they turn against him at the end. They want to get the fuck out of town or stop him. That would have been a much better plot, and that would have worked out much better. Instead, we get like this convoluted butt fuck mess. And then there's this dude named Gabriel, who I actually like this actor. I think his real name's like Paul Popovich or something, but he did good in the movie, and he's big spoiler. You find out at the end he's really He Who Walks Behind the Rose, so he's basically the devil. And so at the end of the movie, which it doesn't really make sense how he's He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Is he always been He Who Walks Behind the Rose? Because basically there's this prophecy that the daughter of one of the cult members will come back, sleep with the firstborn child of the cult or son or whatever, and they would produce like the Antichrist basically, and then He Who Walks Behind the Rose will awaken after that. So basically, this guy Gabriel has always been He Who Walks Behind the Rose. He's just like now showing himself, I guess is what it is. And he's like pretty much the most powerful bad guy we've seen in all the films, because he can just like look at you and be like, hey, kill yourself, and you'll just automatically blow your head off. He like makes Isaac's son like fall down on this corn sickle. Pretty cool scene. You get like this scene where Isaac's got like his son's girlfriend, and he wants his son to kill her because she helped Hannah escape into the cornfields or whatever to get away from the cult, and he's gonna kill her. But you see him like he's got a machete, he's gonna like come down on her, but he has like Isaac. You can tell he has a look on his face where he's second thinking this. He doesn't really want to kill this woman, and that's really interesting because that's the first time they've ever really like went into his like human side character in these films. And it's never touched upon again. And even after he does cut her, he gets kind of a cool gore scene, one of the only. He cuts her like in half and her body falls in half. Kind of a cool shot. The directing in this movie is actually not too bad. It's just the script is terrible. And he cuts her in half, and then he's like looking at the other like people who were holding her or whatever, and they're like freaked out, because they just had to hold a woman that was cut in half. And he's like looking at him, he's like, your strength will be rewarded or whatever. And he's like shaking while he's saying it, and it's like, showing you that he did not want to kill this woman. He's, fucking freaked out after just having to cut somebody in half, because Isaac was always like the teacher. He was never the enforcer or the killer. So now he's having to, get his hands dirty. So, you can see like the human side of the character where he doesn't really enjoy killing people. I mean, he really doesn't. And that's the only time they touch on that, and they just kind of brush it away after that. That's a good idea. See, this would have worked so much better in such a better like psychological level if they would have had like the kid be like Isaac's daughter or whatever, and have Isaac be like conflicted. Delve into the characters more. Have Isaac be like conflicted. Like, do I want to do the right thing as a parent and help my child, and get them the fuck out of here because they don't want to do this? And then the kid could be like conflicted as well and be like, should I help my dad do this even though he's evil? There's great drama that could be had there, but it piss it away. Piss it all away. It's all pissed away. And then you get to the end, and it's the dude who turns out to be the devil. He like crucifies Isaac again. He gets crucified again, and he like flies up in the air. He walks behind the rose does, and he acts like Freddy Krueger. Basically, he's like telling like Freddy style jokes, and he's like, "Let's play a game." He's like, "It's your death." And he takes a metal pipe, breaks it in half, and like shoves it down in like a spear in John Franklin, Isaac's chest or whatever, and kills him. And that's another thing. This movie's like called Isaac's Return, so Isaac should have played like the big bad in this movie, like the big part of the story, the meat of the story should have been him. He should have been the big bad, but he doesn't do anything. He does almost nothing in this movie. He kills like 2 people, one good kill and one lackluster kill where he like electrocutes a dude or whatever who's wanting to turn on him. who doesn't want to like help the cult anymore or whatever. And that's pretty much it. And he doesn't really do shit. And then he gets killed at the end. So it kind of feels like honestly a waste. It feels like a waste. And after that, he just like lets the Hannah's character's mom like stab him with a cornsicle in the gut, and then the dude, he can like just look at something and go boom and just say that and it'll explode. So he's like all powerful and or close to it, and he just like gets hit by a cornsicle in the gut, and then he pulls it up into his chest, his self, and he falls over, and you think he's dead, and you're like, why did he even fucking do that? And then he wakes up and he goes boom, and then the whole place just explodes. And I'm like, why did he even do that? Why did he fake his death? What is the point of this? And then after that, Hannah and her mom just leave town. They're just gone. They just leave. Everybody's dead. There's hardly any cult members left, and they can just get the fuck out of Dodge. But she's pregnant with like the Antichrist or whatever. So, and the funny thing is, at the end of it, she's like, "What do I do? I'm pregnant by this evil. How do I fix this? My future is dark, basically." And then it's like problem could be fixed in like 2 minutes. She's pregnant with like this demon seed. 2 minutes later, as soon as she leaves town, stop at an abortion clinic, kill it, and be done. I mean, that's it. I mean, honestly, the ending of this movie, it's like it tries to set it up. It's like it's so dark. Oh no, it's the chosen child gonna be born, and I'm like, this kid could be completely dusted in like 2 minutes. After this last shot, he's like no threat whatsoever to humanity. This woman can kill him in 1 second by an abortion. And even if you aren't in favor of abortion, I'm like, this is the Antichrist. I think it's okay. But anyway, yeah, all in all, this film was just bad, so badly written. Zero, it's just a clusterfuck. I'll see you guys again with another Tune in the Corner review.